Hey, what's up everybody? It's your mortgage expert, Brian McCauley here. So are you looking to buy a house in Dallas, Texas, but you're confused on where the market's headed and when the right time to buy is? Stick around. In this video, I'm gonna help you out. All right, so the housing market is starting to heat up already. It seems weirdly strange that interest rates at this point in time are somewhere in the mid sixes. They're projected to come down in the back half of this year, but people are still buying houses and people are wondering why. So I want to help clarify a couple things for you guys, and I also want to help you make a good and wise decision on this market, understanding why the demand is still so high, why people are buying, if it's going to loosen up or if it's going to tighten up, okay? There are three things I want to share with you to help give you some clarity on this. Tip number one, the United States is almost 6.5 million houses short. That's right, there's a huge shortage right now. This is why you're seeing so many people continue to buy houses. Part of that has to do with population growth, but also part of it has to do with relocation growth. Specifically here in Dallas, Texas, you guys are seeing so many individuals and so many businesses pour into here, and there's just still not enough houses to feed and help everybody. So what you're seeing is more humans than houses, and demand is continuing to pick up. This is simple economics 101, supply and demand. The other big component why things are still moving up and moving quickly is because new construction homes are not quite as hot and heavy as they were a year ago. With interest rates rising, a lot of these new construction builders have slowed down. And so what's happened is it's given the buyer less opportunity on options for their houses. So there's less new construction, a little bit more existing inventory. So you've got everybody going to the existing inventory. And since there's not enough inventory for everybody, you're seeing a lot of pent up demand, okay? Tip number two, I want you guys to be mindful of are the interest rates. So people are still concerned about interest rates. Depending upon the timing and when you buy in the market, the rate can be anywhere from 6%, 6.5%, 7%. Here's the thing to remember about interest rates. They are temporary. We all know that interest rates follow inflation. We all know that they are going to come back down towards the back half of the year, and especially in 2024. And if you bought a house right now and you don't love the rates, you can refinance in 12, 18 months, whatever that time is. But it's going to be a short-term mortgage play for a lot of folks out there, and I really want to lean into the fact that buying a house right now with a little bit higher rate is going to be advantageous to you as the buyer. Let me just give you some simple numbers, okay? Think about this. What is better? To buy a $500,000 house right now at 6.375%, or is it better to wait 9 months and buy that same house that's probably $550,000 at 5.5%? Here's the trick, the payments are the exact same. So I want you to think about that, and here's the reason why. Even though the monthly payments are the same, because the house right now is $500, when interest rates drop, the demand's gonna go up by at least 10%, that same house is gonna be $550. Yes, you're gonna get a lower rate, but the payments are both gonna be about $3,070 a month. So why would you do it now versus later? Well, a couple things. Number one, if you get the $500,000 house right now at a 6.375 interest rate, and your payment's $3,070, when rates drop and all the demand goes up and your house moves from $5 to $550, you as the owner have just made almost 10% equity on your ROI on appreciation. So as a buyer, you should stop and think, if I buy that $500,000 house right now, the rate and the payment is going to be the same as if I bought $550 at 5.5 9 months from now. The difference is, as the owner of the house, you'll make 10% appreciation, which means you're making money. That's part of being a smart homeowner. Why would you buy that house at $550 with a lower interest rate, even though the payment's the same, and give up all that equity? Don't you want to make money on the appreciation of the house? That's a big component of why you want to buy now, okay? The other thing about this market is, outside of just the cost of the house, the interest rate, the payments, I want to talk about negotiations for a minute. As the market continues to heat up, sellers are becoming less likely to negotiate with the buyers on price, on closing costs. These are really big deals because as a buyer, if you don't get a good deal on a house and you can't negotiate anything, closing costs and all that, you're gonna come out of pocket on all that money. On a $500,000 house, it's probably anywhere from 7 to 10 grand, depending upon your prepaids and how much money you wanna put down. But that $7,000 to $10,000 is a lot of money. So factor that in the equation as well. Outside of the cost of the house, the rate of the house, the payments, the appreciation that you're gonna make on the swing up in the future, think about it right now. If you get that $500,000 house at 6.375, and let's say the seller negotiates and gives you $8,000 in closing cost, that is $8,000 less that that you, the buyer, have to come to the table with, right? So the opportunity cost is also something that you guys have to pay attention to. It's super important. Versus 9 months or a year from now, yes, that house is going to be $550,000 and you're going to get 5.375% or whatever it is on the actual rate and payment, but you've missed out on the appreciation. There's going to be a lot more demand, so it'll be harder to get that house. You definitely won't be able to get closing costs included because there will be so many buyers bidding on that property that the sellers will have the power again. So that is the second thing to remember when thinking about when the timing is right to buy a home. Let's go in at number 3. So number 3 is ease and quality of life. What do I mean by this? Well, anybody that's been paying attention to the housing market for the past 3 or 4 years, specifically to DFW, remembers when COVID hit and there were just way more buyers than there were homes. It was a very uncomfortable way for buyers to buy a house. A lot of people missed out on buying a house. They were outpriced. They wouldn't take FHA loans. They wouldn't take VA loans because the sellers had all the power. What I mean by quality of life is if you wanted to wait a year from now to buy a house, if interest rates do get back down into the 4s, it might help you from a financial standpoint when it comes to monthly payment, but what it's going to cause with buyers is going to be one of the biggest frenzies since COVID, I promise you, because everybody is going to try to get the same houses. And so your quality of life is going to be really bad. You're going to have to act instantly when a house becomes available. We'll be back into a multiple offer situation. It'll be a bidding war. A lot of times you as the buyer even have to come out of pocket, extra cash, 5 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand. You might have to waive your appraisal clause. If you're an FHA approved buyer or a VA approved buyer, sometimes those sellers won't even take buyers that have those type of financing because they are worried about the risk, they're worried about what comes with that type of pre-approval, and they just want a conventional, a jumbo, or a cash buyer, which completely pushes all of those well-qualified buyers that I like to the sideline because now again, we're in a different scenario where the sellers can pick and choose. As a buyer, you're gonna be forced. You're gonna be forced to move faster than you want. You're gonna be forced to pay more than you want. You're probably gonna be forced to even put offers and bids on properties that you don't actually love because the inventory isn't available. So it's not the ideal smart way to buy a house. This is why I think buying right now has all the benefit for the buyer. Again, the interest rate is temporary. Worst case scenario, you can refinance it. However, remember, if you're able to get a concession or a deal on the house or closing cost, if you don't like the 6.375% interest rate or whatever you get, you can use some of those concessions to buy the interest rate down even further permanently or temporarily, whatever you want to do to keep your payments lower. But then again, fast forward to 2024, you're not going to have that opportunity. And I think the market's only going to continue to trend up and get tougher for buyers that wait longer. So listen, hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share it with somebody that you know that could benefit from this conversation. And listen, if you just want to have a conversation about your pre-approval or the future of your housing needs, do me a favor, call us, email us, text us. We're always here to help you make the right decision. Until next time, stay tuned.